Welcome to Volleyball in Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin Barnett, and we're pleased to be joined by the 2010 Hall of Fame class, the very first team ever inducted together into the Hall of Fame, Shelda Bede and Adriana Behar. Welcome.
Hi.
You two have had a remarkable career together. You have the most victories ever as a team. What moments stand out in your mind throughout your entire career together?
Well, fortunately, we have a lot of good moments and a lot of good memories. We have been playing together for 12 years. Then during this period, this time, we won 6 times the FIVB World Tour. We won twice the World Tour, the championship, and 8 times the Brazilian tournament. Then, as I told before, fortunately, we have a lot of good memories and good moments. It's hard to say just one moment or one experience, but I guess that the first time that we went to US to play the Goodwill Games in 1998 was the first time that we play in an event that has more than beach volleyball. We have more athletes and more sports, and I guess this was, for me, one of the most important memories in my life.
Shelda, for you?
Bem, eu tenho vários momentos, como a Adriana falou, mas esse que a Adriana falou, que a gente ganhou no Goodwill Games, super importante. E eu acho que a Olimpíada é o auge que o atleta chega, que pode estar. E para mim a Olimpíada foi um dos melhores momentos.
Shelda is saying that there were several moments, good moments that she went through with Adriana. Of course, the Goodwill Games were one of the most important moments in her life, but also going to the Olympic Games were probably the best ones that she can remember.
12 years together, so many victories, so many memorable moments. Being in a sport of beach volleyball where many times partners change back and forth, what has made your partnership last? It's like a marriage. Why has it worked?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes it's more difficult than a marriage. But I guess that we had the same focus, the same goals. We worked hard. We had a really important and strong partnership, and we work together for that. Then we have determination, respect, friendship, and I guess this is the thing that makes us to be together for so long time.
Who's in charge if you go on the road? Who does the travel planning? Who's the person responsible for all the logistics?
I guess both of us. We share all the responsibilities. We share all the glories. We share all the victories. We share all the titles, and we share everything. Then we've done everything as a team, and there's no one that is more important than the other one.
You both have been around through the evolution of beach volleyball as an international sport, the development of the FIVB Tour. Tell us about the development of the sport, the changes you've seen. Shelda?
Para você falar dos momentos de mudança que o voleibol de praia teve desde a sua fundação até hoje.
Bem, eu joguei, acho que todas as mudanças eu participei do voleibol, né? E quando para mim a mais difícil foi quando a quadra diminuiu 1 metro, né, Adriana? Então, nesse momento achei que eu não conseguia mais jogar pela altura, né? Porque a quadra diminuiu e a evolução, a força física prevalecer.
Shelda is saying that she went through the evolution of volleyball, beach volleyball, throughout the years, and then for her, the most change that she could notice throughout her career was when they tried to diminish the court, the volleyball court. It changed the game, and she wasn't sure whether she could keep up with the game or not at that time.
What did you do to change your style of play to cope with that?
O que você fez para mudar e para lidar com essa mudança da quadra?
Muito...
Porque, obviamente você teve sucesso em fazer isso.
Não, a gente treinei mais, a gente se adapta a qualquer coisa, eu acho, né? E hoje é engraçado que eu não consigo ver jogando numa quadra como era no grande, né, normal, a 9x9. Então o voleibol mudou muito, muita força, mas a gente foi muito treino e muita força de vontade para voltar para jogar ali.
Charlie's saying that she coped with it by training hard, and that throughout the years she got used to it, and she was able to adapt to it so much that she couldn't see herself going back and playing in the other court size that she used to play in the past.
Shelly, you had a car accident early on that nearly ended your career. How did that affect your view of playing volleyball for a living?
Um acidente de carro mudou a sua perspectiva da sua vida em jogar voleibol, não?
Na verdade, eu era muito jovem, ainda não existia nem o vôlei de praia no Brasil. E um pouco, né? Porque eu não sabia se eu ia poder voltar a jogar, mas mais uma vez eu me adaptei e voltei a jogar como se, para mim, como se nada tivesse acontecido. É normal na minha vida o que aconteceu. Sou totalmente.
She's saying that she was young at that time when the accident occurred, and she was able to adapt to it like everything else in life, and that eventually that didn't affect her performance in volleyball, and she was fine with that.
You talked about the success you both have had in Brazil and on the FIVB Tour and the Goodwill Games, the Olympics, but twice you have taken silver. Is there any disappointment left for not having taken gold?
Yeah, of course we have this this gap in our career, but as you said, we have a lot of victories, a lot of titles. Then I guess that this was the 100% that we could reach. Then of course to win the gold medal at the Olympics could be the best, final, but it didn't happen. But we are so happy for everything that we have done. And to be in the Olympics, to be at the Olympics twice, it's something for us so important and something sometimes so unreachable. And we are proud to have been there and to won 2 silver medals.
Sheldon, qual a importância da sua carreira e o fato de você não ter conseguido uma medalha de ouro nas Olimpíadas?
É claro que eu sonhava em ser campeã olímpica, mas como a Adriana falou, a gente foi a 2 Olimpíadas, as 2 que a gente foi, a gente subiu ao pódio, trouxemos medalha. Para a gente, para o nosso país, é super importante isso. Tivemos várias vezes em primeiro lugar no circuito mundial, títulos do circuito, e não tenho mais é claro que eu sempre que eu quis ser campeã, que eu sonhei, mas hoje em dia eu sou muito bem realizada e muito feliz com o que eu e a Adriana a gente conquistou pro voleibol, que a gente fez pro nosso país.
Shelly's saying that, of course, winning a gold medal in the Olympic Games was always her dream, but they didn't achieve that. But just in and out of itself, just going to the Olympic Games is in itself, such an achievement for themselves and the country. And actually, both times that they went, they were able to go to the podium and represent themselves and their country. So she's happy about that. So it's not a big deal to not having won the gold medal.
Brazil has such a rich history of volleyball, of course, incredible performances from indoor, from beach. Tell us about the scene of volleyball and the culture of volleyball in Brazil.
Then, right now, the volleyball is the first sport in our country. Football, soccer, it's a religion. We say that it's not a sport anymore. This is from our hard work that we have been done for the last 20 years. Then when you have the athletes, as we have, when you have the sponsors, the partners, and when you have also the media, then you have the perfect tripod to obtain this success. And I guess this is the reason that now we are, the best country in indoor volleyball and also in beach volleyball. The best country because of the players, and we are always on the podium. Then it means that we have been working a lot and we are going the right way. This is the way that we live our lives in Brazil. Then we put 100% of our lives in what we have to do, and this is the result for really hard work.
Qual é a importância do voleibol para o país? Como que você vê esse crescimento do voleibol no Brasil?
Bem, como a Adriana falou,
Você se vê como ídola?
o futebol é o primeiro esporte, mas para a gente é como religião mesmo, não tem... E o voleibol passou a ser o esporte número 1. Eu acho que a gente construiu grandes ídolos hoje em dia no Brasil do esporte, tanto indoor quanto na praia, né, pelas medalhas que o Brasil trouxe nas Olimpíadas atrás, as passadas. E a gente conseguiu fazer do esporte, tanto de praia quanto o indoor, o que hoje toda criança quer jogar. Hoje é o primeiro esporte do Brasil, é o voleibol.
Charlie's saying that throughout the years, volleyball actually now surpassed soccer in the number of people participating and even in the number of titles having been won. Because as you know, in soccer you have the World Cup and then you have a 4-year gap. But in volleyball you have the indoor, the outdoor, the beach volleyball, where you can win a lot. So she said that the success it's actually reflected because of the hard work and the number of young kids wanting to play volleyball just because of the success of this two being on TV and other volleyball players actually having achieved success on TV. So.
In building that culture and building that incredible legacy that is now really at the top in Brazil, you two have been a part of that. But when you were coming up, who were the people that influenced your career?
Yeah, on my side, I had Bernard, that he's also here in the Hall of Fame already. He's a indoor male volleyball player, and I guess this is so important. When we have some idol that we want to be him or want to be her, this is something that push us to train hard, to work hard. Then I have some Brazilian idols, and Bernard is one of them.
Você tem ídolo no esporte ou eles te inspiraram a jogar o esporte ou você começou por si mesmo?
Então, vários.
She has many idols.
Claro. Eu sempre olhei eles para aprender a jogar.
That's how she learned how to play volleyball, by watching her idols.
And how were you introduced to the sport of volleyball? How did you come to the sport rather than something else?
Como é que você foi introduzida ao voleibol? Como é que você achou o voleibol na sua vida? Quando pequena?
Eu comecei a jogar vôlei indoor, né? Minha irmã mais velha jogava e, na verdade, eu nunca nem gostei muito do voleibol. Eu fui jogar porque minha irmã mais velha jogava. E aí depois eu gostei, foi natural e o vôlei de praia apareceu. E pela minha altura eu tinha que... na época não existia líbero, né? Então eu parti para o vôlei de praia porque... Para mim era a chance de eu jogar e ser e ter uma carreira no voleibol, no esporte, foi pela praia.
She was saying that at a young age she started playing indoor volleyball. Actually, she didn't like it too much, but her older sister was playing it, so she kind of got drawn into the sport because of her older sister. And then as years went by, she felt that she wasn't too tall for indoor volleyball. Then finally, beach volleyball came into place, and she just said, "Okay, here you go. This is a sport for me. I'm going to go for that one. You don't have to be that tall for that one." So.
Since you both have retired, how much do you talk now?
Now, often, yeah, because we have some program together. Then we are involved with programs, social programs, that we use the sport as a fundamental tool to give for our youth more opportunity and better quality of life. Then right now we are working together to help our country as the sport helped us.
Tell us a little bit more about that, and how does it relate to Brazil's gearing up for Rio, for the 2016 Olympics? Are you involved with that, or have you been drawn into the country's preparations for that incredible event?
Yeah, we are just starting. I mean, we still have not enough time. Actually, we don't have so much time for that, but we have to hurry up and get ready for the Olympic Games in 2016. I'm starting to get involved with the organization, but still at the beginning. but I guess it's a really important time and a really good opportunity for our country to develop the country and help the people through the sport. Then values as dedication, perseverance, sportsmanship, these are very important for our youth. Then through sport we can help them to get them goals, to achieve them goals, and to get to achieve the success. Then this is I guess this is our responsibility to as we are an athletes, and as I guess that we have this importance representing our country, and this is now we are working for.
That was wonderful, Adriana. Como é que você vê a importância das Olimpíadas agora no Brasil e o seu papel como ex-atleta famosa?
Eu acho maravilhoso, estou super excitada com a Olimpíada indo para o Brasil. É uma oportunidade da gente deixar um legado para o nosso esporte, já que não é tão forte. É a oportunidade que a gente tem de começar a fazer atletas a se interessarem mais pelo esporte e viverem do esporte a partir de 2016.
E como que você está envolvida nesse processo?
Na verdade, eu ainda não... como eu parei de jogar há um ano só, eu ainda não comecei a... Assim, eu tô... Sempre que me chamam para estar com as crianças no voleibol na escola, no Comitê Olímpico e dando palestra, eu sempre estou presente com a Adriana, ela está mais envolvida, né? Mas eu estou começando agora, então eu vou estar sempre à disposição para ajudar o meu esporte no Brasil.
Sheldon is saying that she thinks that the Olympic Games in Brazil are a great way, like Adriana was saying, to give an example to young kids, say how sport is a good way for you to grow up and learn things about life that you wouldn't otherwise. The way that she's involved with the Olympic Committee is by helping here and there, not too much, not 100%, but here and there she goes and does lectures in schools and talks to kids about the importance of the Olympic Games. So that's the way that she's involved with it.
I want to hear from both of you, but Shelda first, your reaction to being inducted into the Hall of Fame. You are the youngest Hall of Fame member now, and just the reaction to learning you were in the Hall of Fame and being here.
Qual a sua reação em ser induzida para esse prêmio sendo a mais nova?
Não, sendo a mais nova eu estou sabendo agora.
She's surprised to know that she's the youngest now.
Mas eu fiquei super feliz por realmente fazer parte da história do meu esporte, não só no Brasil, mas no mundo todo, né? No Brasil eu participei desde a primeira etapa e estar ao lado junto com a Adriana, que foi com ela com quem eu conquistei tudo na minha vida com relação ao vôlei, e eu fico muito feliz de estar aqui com ela.
She was really, really happy to have learned that she was inducted to the Hall of Fame here in Holyoke, and she is even more happy to have been inducted alongside Adriana, because Adriana is really her partner, not only in volleyball but for life, because they built a career together and they have a great amount of respect for each other. So she's really happy for that.
Okay, I'm going to speak in Portuguese. Depois vou falar em português. Depois de 12 anos jogando juntas, eu sempre imaginei, né, sempre vi o Hall da Fama com muitos ídolos do voleibol, mas algo um pouco assim inalcançável.
After 12 years playing together, she knew about the existence of the Volleyball Hall of Fame, and she never ever thought in her life that she would be inducted to here, and it was always a dream for her, something that is almost unachievable.
E quando nós recebemos a informação que nós estaríamos no Hall da Fama, e principalmente como dupla, isso para mim foi mais do que um sonho realizado, porque estar no Hall da Fama como atleta já é muito importante, mas estar como dupla realmente confirma toda a nossa vida dedicada ao esporte. Toda a nossa dedicação, toda a nossa superação, o nosso trabalho em equipe, que eu acho que essa sempre foi a nossa marca fundamental como dupla.
She's saying that to have been inducted as a team, as a doubles partner in volleyball, beach volleyball, was even more important because that only translates to whoever is in contact with volleyball, the amount of work that they put into that together and the amount of perseverance and just the hard work throughout the years. So she was even more happy to have learned that they were inducted as a team to the Volleyball Hall of Fame.
E a importância do Hall da Fama, né, ser replicado em outros países ou pelo mundo, porque reconhecer os seus ídolos e garanti-los numa memória do esporte é fundamental, porque infelizmente no Brasil principalmente a nossa memória é muito curta. Então os nossos ídolos ou aquelas pessoas que são referências ou formadores de opinião às vezes passam muito rápido. E eu acho que isso é uma valorização do ídolo, daquelas pessoas que conquistaram algo de excelência na sua carreira e que fica realmente eternizado para que as próximas gerações possam tê-los como exemplo.
Adriana is basically saying that the Volleyball Hall of Fame here in Holyoke represents something that should be probably replicated in other countries because it's the possibility of leaving this legacy to younger people in the future, saying that, okay, they played many years ago, but they're still being remembered. Maybe other countries, and Brazil is the case, Brazil doesn't have that. We as Brazilians, we have short memories as far as our idols go. We should probably have something like that in our future, just to remember our idols and remember what players were important in history for younger people to be inspired in the future.
Shelda and Adriana, you will forever be the very first team inducted into the Volleyball Hall of Fame. Congratulations. You'll be held up as an example of how to have a partnership and a team over many, many years.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and for sure it's going to be an unforgettable moment for our lives. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining.
Obrigada.
Welcome to Volleyball in Perspectives 2010. I'm your host, Kevin Barnett. We're joined today by Alexander Savin, 2010 inductee to the Volleyball Hall of Fame. Alexander, you had a long and distinguished career. How were you introduced to the sport of volleyball?
Как вы пришли в волейбол?
Как сказать, вообще-то у меня мой отец и моя мать, они тоже как-то имели к этому какое-то отношение, может быть, не в волейболу, но по спорту. Мать у меня просто взяла за ручку, отвела в эту школу, вот так я оказался в волейболе.
His mother and father were into sports, not volleyball, but they liked sports much. And his mother just took him by the hand and brought to the volleyball school.
You were on the 1980 gold medal team for the Russian squad, the 1976 silver medal team. We in the United States often hear about the Russian machine and the sporting culture of that time in Russia. Tell us about being a part of that effort for the Soviet Union.
Расскажите, как быть частью вот этой спортивной машины Советского Союза, которая все выигрывала, и вот об этих всех победах. Каково это, принимать участие в этом?
Ну, знаете, как-то сейчас, и тогда об этом как-то не очень-то и думал. Я считал, что вот если я вышел на какое-то поле, я должен как-то что-то выигрывать. Тем более там Олимпийские игры, то есть какие-то, думать, там машина, там вот, такая машина, не было мысли. Было только одно выйти, это выиграть. Вот так, наверное.
There was no such thoughts about Soviet Union machine, just to go to the court and play good, to show the game, and that's all. Just Olympics, we should win Olympics, but not just have to play, and that's all.
In 1976 in Montreal, you lose a 5-game match to Poland in the finals. Tell us about that event.
В 1976-м вы в Монреале проиграли Польше. Расскажите нам об этом.
And also how that impacted you going towards the 1980 games.
И как это повлияло уже на дальнейшую вашу игру, на игры 80-х?
Ну да, эта игра была одна из тех, которые видимо, это финал, то, что за первое место мы вели 2-1, и нам не хватало одного очка, чтобы быть олимпийскими чемпионами. Ну, по-моему, кто-то уже думал, что уже все, наверное, вот, больше ничего делать не надо, и так выиграем, но уже вышло не так. Вот, и поэтому так оно и вышло, конечно, это очень жалко, что вот так, ну, да, не то, что мы говорим.
We lead 2-1, and there were only 2 points left to win, and everybody relaxed, thought that they have already win the game, and as it goes, as it went, they lose. So
Вот, а то, что там, что после вот этого, если кто-то помнит, что Чесноков, вот, он ушел после вот этой игры, он ушел на 9 лет, вообще не был нигде, ни в волейболе, вот, потому что вот эта игра, вот эти Олимпийские игры, вот оно дало вот именно вот это, что очень жалко, что он ушел.
after this lose, Chesnakov left volleyball for 9 years, and maybe that had a huge impact on Russian Soviet Union volleyball, that he left for 9 years. Maybe that was the result of the loss.
How did you personally deal with that particular loss?
А как вы лично пережили этот проигрыш?
Ну никак, я честно говорю, мне это было очень мало лет, и, так сказать, первый раз быть на Олимпийских играх, я вообще сборная, конечно, жалко, но я считаю, что у меня в душе нет никакой самой-то обиды, потому что через 4 года я все-таки сделал то, что я должен был сделать. Так что
It was okay on me because I was young, and it was my first Olympic Games, and so in 4 years I did what I had to do, and in 4 years I won Olympic Games. So it hadn't much impact on me. I wasn't upset.
Much has been made about the fact that the Russians, your teams were the power in the late 70s and early 80s. Then you taught the Americans how to play, and on in the 1984 games where the Americans took the gold medal. Tell us about the relationship between you and the American players when you would play one another.
Ну, всем известно, что русские тренеры и игроки очень много научили американские команды в этих всяких дружеских матчах и играх. Вот, и расскажите, как вот вы общались между собой, ваши отношения?
нормально мы с тобой общались, но я могу сказать то, что я вижу. Допустим, учесть наши отношения между нашей командой и сборной от Америки сейчас, вот то, что вот я считаю, что может быть не очень здорово, потому что сейчас большой спорт — это больше деньги, чем какие-то отношения. То есть люди могут за деньги сделать такие вещи, что, допустим, мы как-то не могли сделать. Мы были, да, мы играли вместе, но как-то вне поля, ну, нормальные отношения.
We were on friendly terms, and if compared relationships between Russian and American team nowadays, and Russian and American and Soviet Union team then days, I think their relationships were better, because now money plays a huge role, and a lot of people will do bad things for money, so that were better days.
Tell us about who influenced you as a player. You mentioned that your mother took you to the court and said you will play volleyball, but who were your idols? Who did you admire and hope to be like?
Кто повлиял на вас? Кто были вашими иконами, кого вы равнялись, стремились?
Может, я чуть-чуть подумаю, потому что было так давно, то, что это...
He'll have some time to think, because it was so long ago. He should remember.
Ну, я думаю, что у меня вот одного такого не было, как какой-то кумир, допустим, то я пытался что-то увидеть вот в нашей самой-то команде, какие-то части, допустим, был такой Чулак, который бил очень здорово, был такой Кокондра, который играл в защите. Вот. И я пытался у них взять то, что мне надо, а от какого-то одного не было.
There were several persons whom he admired and tried to take best traits of their play. For example, Chumak, who served great, and Kondra. and he can't name a one person.
You join your former head coach Yuri Chesnikov here in the Hall of Fame. Tell us your memories about Coach Chesnikov.
Вы присоединились к Чеснокову в волейбольном зале славы. Расскажите нам о Чеснокове, ваши воспоминания.
Ну, если говорить о нем, ну, так сказать, по нашему обоюдному какому-то согласию, и он у меня был самый лучший учитель, я не был самый лучший ученик. Так, наверное, мы там самое часто об этом говорили.
Yuri Chesnakov was my best teacher and I was his best student. We talked to each other and decided it between ourselves.
What do you do today?
Чем вы сейчас занимаетесь?
Ну, давайте так, я скажу, что у меня есть маленький город, который находится недалеко от Москвы, город Обнинск. У меня там школа, так сказать, имени моего имени, так скажем. У меня команда, которая играет женский волейбол в первой лиге. И у нас 4 девочек в составе сборной команды России по бич-волейболу. Вот где-то вот так, если касается волейбола.
There is a city near Moscow in 1 hour ride, and it's called Obninsk, and I have a volleyball school there, named in my name, Alexander Savin School. There is 60 pupils there. There is also a women team that play in first league, and also 4 girls from the school are now in beach volleyball national team.
Tell us about those pupils. Are there any young Alexander Savins in that group?
Расскажите нам о ваших учениках. Есть ли там какие-нибудь подрастающие Александры Савины?
Ну, я думаю, что не будет ни через год, ни через 5, ни через 10. Потому что то, что сейчас играют в волейбол, такие, как я, уже доказательства не нужны, короче говоря. Ну, это вот мое такое мнение.
It's my opinion, but I think there won't be any Alexander Savins in 1, 5 or 10 years, because now they don't need such players as I am. They need another qualities.
What do you think was your best quality as a player?
Какими были вашими лучшими сторонами в качестве игрока?
Еще скажешь?
Какие были вашими лучшими сторонами, когда вы играли?
Ну, давайте скажу так, что я все время попадал в сосед, там сборная, это блок, атака, то есть сетка, так скажем.
Ну и такие спортивные, и как личные качества.
Вот это уже лучше. Вот. И вообще-то, несмотря на вот это, на блок, на атаку, защиту, все-таки наша команда, я считаю, она была все-таки потому такой великий, потому что 8 лет мы выиграли все то, что можем, потому что у нас была команда, у нас были одни и те же идеи, мы как-то одинаково верили и работали. Какая-то вот это было.
No matter of the block, spike or serve, I had a real team, and we had the same idea, the same aim, and that worked. That's why we won so much championships and Olympic Games. And which qualities are the most important?
What are the different qualities that you say they're looking for in today's players, different than back when you played?
Какие качества в сегодняшних игроках? То, что вы сказали, что сейчас вы уже не...
Ну, я понял я постараюсь как сказать, достаточно быстро. Если раньше был счет, чтобы его взять очко, нужно обязательно поставить какой-то блок и сыграть в защите, потом мяч достать и забить. Вот это было очко. Сейчас, чтобы взять очко, надо просто подать и забить. То есть, по идее, блок-то не то, что он не нужен, но нету. Вот о чем. То есть ушел какая-то база. Это был что? Я был защитой и блок. Сейчас я этого не вижу. Все очень здорово играют в атаке, но на блоке что-то я вообще ничего не вижу.
During my days, the block was very important, and in order to win a point, you should serve, made a block, and then attack. And nowadays, the block is not so much important. You just can serve and attack, and so there is no need in Alexander Savin nowadays to win.
With all your years of playing and experience in the sport, is there one story or one moment that you remember the most?
Вы столько играли, выступали, может быть, есть какая-то одна история или момент, который вы помните лучше всего?
Нет, ну, одной какой-то такой истории у меня нету, но действительно очень много. Я хочу сказать такую вещь, что у меня 14 медалей чемпиона СССР. Это, я считаю, может быть, не выше, чем олимпийский там чемпион, но все равно столько лет играть за один клуб и в одной команде и быть вот это, я считаю, что это очень много.
I can't tell one story because there are a lot of them, but I have 14 Russian championship medals, and it means that 14 years I was in the same team with the same players, and I think it's really great because we were one team.
Tell us your reaction upon learning you were going to be introduced into the Volleyball Hall of Fame.
Расскажите о вашей реакции, когда вы узнали, что вас включают в волейбольный зал славы.
Ну, вообще-то, если честно говоря, очень жалко, что вот об этом музее, я честно говорю, у нас в России мало кто знает, вот о чем. Это какая-то беда, может быть, наша, может быть, ваша. И мне бы как бы хотелось, что все-таки это дело очень нужное, и тем более не для, скажем, для Америки, для России и всего мира, чтобы об этом как-то знало бы больше были самых людей. Это первый ответ. Вот, а потом, ну, такого прям ура, наверное, чуть-чуть было, но не много.
I was very glad, but unfortunately not much people in Russia know about Volleyball Hall of Fame, and it's very pity because they should know their history, their most important volleyball players, and we should try to improve the situation.
Well, congratulations and thank you for being here at the
Thank you.
Volleyball Hall of Fame and spending time with us.
Thank you.
2010 Volleyball in Perspective. I'm Kevin Barnett. Welcome to Volleyball in Perspective 2010. I'm your host, Kevin Barnett. We're pleased to be joined by 2010 Volleyball Hall of Fame inductee, Gabriela Kocic. You may hear the sound of an interpreter, her voice, being done into English from Hungarian. Gabriela, tell us about your career. You began in the 1950s. What was the environment like for women's volleyball?
Beszéljen a karrierjéről, az 1950-es években kezdett. Milyen volt a női röplabda akkor?
Egyáltalában nem volt női röplabda. A második világháború után ismertük meg Magyarországon a röplabdázást.
Women's volleyball was non-existent. We learned about volleyball after World War II, and that's when we started introducing it to the country.
A Szlovákiából Magyarországra jövő játékosok ismertették meg Magyarországon a röplabdázást.
It was players coming from Slovakia who introduced volleyball to Hungarian players, prospective players.
Was there much resistance to the support of women's sport?
Volt ellenállás a női röplabda ellen?
Nem volt, mert a szovjet katonák is röplabdáztak, akik megszállták Magyarországot, úgyhogy inkább divatba hozták ők is.
Not really. Soviet soldiers actually at the time were playing a lot of volleyball in Hungary, so it was welcomed and it was fashionable at the time.
You mentioned that you learned it from a lot of different sources throughout Europe. Was there a person or a group who was most influential for you in your development as a player in learning the game?
Említette, hogy különböző forrásokból tanulta és állította össze a röplabdát. Volt valami speciális forrás, ami nagyon sokat jelentett?
Hát a sportolási alapjaim, mert eredetileg atletizáltam, kosárlabdáztam, és kissé teniszeztem is. Gyakorlatilag ezekből az elemekből és a látottakból meg próbáltak megtanítani röplabdázni, engem szereztem az ismereteimet és a tapasztalataimat.
I started out as a track, basketball, and tennis player, so my volleyball set of skills came together from different sources, and then I watched a lot of volleyball, and that is how I constructed my approach to volleyball. Nem hagytam ki.
You played in the very first women's FIVB championship in 1952. Tell us about that event.
1952-ben az első világszövetség versenyében játszott. Tudná erről beszélni?
52-ben igen, még játékos voltam, és Moszkvában volt világverseny, mint válogatott röplabdázó játszottam, ott is a magyar csapatot 6. lett velem együtt, és igazság szerint ott ismerkedtem meg jobban a röplabda világszínvonalával.
Yes, in 1952 I was still active as a player. I was in the national team and we placed 6th in Moscow. And that is where I first met international volleyball.
Did you ever find that world events affected your career both as a player and as a coach? Can you relate how some of those world events affected your career?
Ezek a világversenyek hogyan befolyásolták a karrierjét, mint játékos és később, mint edző?
Nagyon nagy mértékben befolyásolták, mert mindenkitől próbáltam valamit ellesni és tanulni. Ami jó volt és megfelelő volt az én csapatom fizikai és technikai adottságainak, azt bevettem a játékstílusunkba, mert úgy éreztem, hogy Magyarországon sem az egyik stílus, sem a másik stílust egészen nem tudnánk játszani, így kevertem a stílusokat.
Of course, they had a huge impact on me as I was observing other teams, and I learned how to employ different teams and different styles to Hungarian players, since the team members I was working with were very different physical build and very different sets of skills, so I had to employ apply different sources and make them appropriate to my team.
We know that your first husband, there's a very interesting story that goes along with his disappearance and then reappearance. Can you tell us about that?
Hallottuk, hogy van egy nagyon érdekes történet az ön első férjének eltűnésének és újra felbukkanásának. Erről, hogyha esetleg szeretne beszélni.
Hát igen, 3 hónapi házasság után, hát ezt itt mondjuk kevésbé ismerős Amerikában, az akkori ország vezetőinek parancsára nagyon sok embert ok nélkül elvittek internáló táborba, köztük a férjemet is. Különböző táborokban volt, és 2 év után úgy tudtam, hogy meghalt, mint ahogy nagyon sokan az ilyen táborokba, és akkor mentem férjhez, a második férjemhez, akitől fiam született, aki itt van, és a fiamnak a lánya és a unokám is itt van most velem együtt. Későbbiekben a férjem kiszabadult, és évek során utána én visszamentem az első férjemhez.
After the Second World War, I was married for 3 months when my husband was taken to an internment camp. The political situation at the time allowed leaders to take people into internment camps without any real reason. And He was in a camp for 2 years. He was transported around, and then I was notified of his death. And that is when I married my second husband, with whom I had a son who is here with me today. And akitől fia született,
Igen, itt is van.
és itt is van. És utána
Utána évek során újra férjhez mentem az első férjemhez.
And then later, I found out that my first husband, in actuality, wasn't dead. And when I found that out, I remarried him.
You mentioned that your son is here today with you in the Hall of Fame, and describe your feelings when you learned you were going to enter the Volleyball Hall of Fame.
Mondta, hogy itt van a fia önnel ma. Tudna arról beszélni, hogy milyen volt mit gondolt arról, amikor megtudta, hogy beválasztották a hírességek csarnokába? Milyen érzés volt?
Hát először is meglepődtem, mert tudtam, nálam sokkal nevesebb edzők és játékosok kerültek már eddig erre a csodálatos falra, és nekem nagyon nagy megtiszteltetés és meglepetés volt.
First of all, I was very surprised since I know there are many more distinguished coaches on this wall in this Hall of Fame. So I was very surprised and honored and happy.
You mentioned more distinguished coaches, but you're one who has coached 3 times in the Olympic Games. You were a player, president of the very first World Championships. Tell us about some of the memorable moments through your entire 60 years involved with this sport.
Habár azt tetszett mondani, hogy vannak elismertebb edzők, de hogy mégis ön 3 olimpián edzősködött. Tudna beszélni fontos pillanatokról a karrierje során, amik nagyon-nagyon sokat jelentettek önnek?
Hát engem mindig a kötelességtudás, a kihívások és a problémák megoldása vezetett egész életembe. Mondjad aztán, hogy
I was always most interested in problem solving and challenges and disciplined approach to succeed.
mindig többet akartam tudni a sportokról, a sportok alapjairól, amit tanulmányoztam. Beiratkoztam a testnevelési egyetemre, pszichológiát, pedagógiát végeztem egy másik egyetemen, és nagyon sokat ellestem az ellenfél csapataitól.
I always wanted to know the basics and theory of sport that I was playing. I went to College of Athletics. I studied sports psychology and teaching, and those informed my career also.
Well, I understand you coach with your granddaughter now. Tell us about the experience of getting an opportunity to work with her.
Hogy tudjuk, hogy ma az unokájával együtt edzősködik. Tudna beszélni erről az élményről, hogy milyen a saját unokájával együtt dolgozni?
Hát nem mindig könnyű, mert mint minden fiatal úgy érzi először, hogy mindent jobban tud, úgyhogy, de viszont nagyon sok ambíció van benne, tehetség van benne, és előbb-utóbb remélem, hogy eléri az én eredményeimet.
It's not always easy since every young people, she sometimes thinks she knows better, but she's very talented, she's very promising, she's very ambitious, so I hope she's going to achieve at least as much as I have.
I think that's a pretty tall order to spend 60 years in a sport and enter the Hall of Fame.
60 évig sportnál maradni, majd a hírességek csarnokába bekerülni.
De azok a szépek, mikor vannak kihívások.
But it's beautiful when there are challenges.
Congratulations, and it's great to have you here, and welcome to the 2010 Hall of Fame.
Örülünk, hogy itt van, és
Nagyon köszönöm én is, hogy itt lehetek.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm Kevin Barnett. Welcome to Volleyball in Perspective 2010. Pleased to be joined by 2010 inductee Gabriela Perez del Solar. Her husband Johnny will translate. Welcome to the Volleyball Hall of Fame. Congratulations on your induction. We want to start with, you were an international force by the age of 17. How were you introduced to the sport of volleyball?
Tú eras una fuerza muy joven, cuando tenías 17 años de edad. ¿Cuál era tu introducción del deporte de vóley?
Yo empecé jugando realmente básquetbol por mi talla, pero me vieron el entrenador de vóley, me vio y me llevó a la selección, y ahí de casualidad empecé a jugar vóley y me enamoré del vóley.
She said, as I was young and tall, I played on the basketball Peruvian team, and during an interchange of teams, the volleyball coach saw me, asked me to come and play with the volleyball national team, and though uncertain, started there and began my career there.
At what age?
A los 13 años.
At 13 years of age.
Did you have any idea how far volleyball would carry you?
Si tenía idea.
¿Tenía una idea qué lejos, qué exitosa puede llevar el voleibol en el momento?
Cuando empecé no sabía realmente jugar vóley, pero sabía que podía llegar muy lejos. Y el entrenador me exigía mucho, creía en mí, creía que podía llegar a ser una buena jugadora. Y cuando comencé a ver los resultados, sí pensé en llegar a ser una de las mejores jugadoras del mundo.
When she first started, she knew that volleyball could give her opportunities going forward. However, she didn't have any degree of confidence in herself in that. But her coach pushed her very hard and did have a lot of faith and confidence in her. And from early successes, she began to see that possibly she could be very successful and perhaps one day be one of the best in the world.
What individuals, coaches, or players do you think really influenced your career?
¿Qué individuales, entrenadores, jugadores eran más influencial en tu carrera?
En Perú tenía el ejemplo de Lucha Fuentes, que es una ex jugadora. Y bueno, tengo mi entrenador, el señor Mambo Park, que fue mi padre realmente en el voleibol peruano. Y a nivel mundial, a mí me gustaba mucho Flo Hyman y Lamping.
In volleyball, one former player, Lucha Fuentes, had a large influence on her, as well as her coach, Mambo Park, the coach of the national team, who had a great influence on her as well. Also in later career, Flo Hyman and Lamping had a large influence in what she was a great admirer of the way that their style of play.
You played 16 years in Italy as a professional. You played many years in the national team for Peru. Are there moments or a particular story that sticks out?
Durante los 16 años jugando en Italia y varios años jugando en el equipo nacional, hay un momento, hay un cuento memorable que es memorable.
Bueno, personalmente, perder la medalla de oro en las Olimpiadas fue algo que marcó mi vida. Pero esas Olimpiadas, llegar a la final también fue tan difícil porque todos los partidos los jugamos 3-2, que fue uno de los momentos más importantes. Y cuando me retiré en la selección peruana en el año 93, que ganamos por última vez a Brasil, el sudamericano, esos dos momentos fueron los más importantes. Y en Italia también he sido campeona de Europa y de Italia, pero más en la selección, ¿no?
During her career, two moments stick out. The first being actually losing in the finals in Seoul in 1988, but the journey to get there, the 3-2 matches of winning and the difficulty to get there, and the amount of training that took, all of that is one memory. The second is the year she retired, 1993. They won the championships, and she retired after that game. Additionally, playing in Italy during the 16 years, winning the Italian Cup and winning the European Cup are great memories, but for her, the most memorable of all are playing for the national team.
Your husband is an American who was in Peru, and tell us about meeting him and your marriage.
Tu esposo es
Sí, sí,
americano
sí, sí.
y nos cuenta
Y mis
que
hijas
cómo
tienen también sangre americana. Para mí nos conocimos en Perú porque él trabaja en Perú. Es una persona adorable y en pocos años hemos hecho una familia muy linda con 2 hijas mujeres que espero que algún día puedan seguramente hacer deporte, pero de repente también jugar vóley.
She said her husband, that would be me, is a American who lives in Peru. He's very adorable, thank you, honey. And also, in a short period of time, we've managed to create a lovely family, 2 daughters, and actually our focus obviously is in family, and perhaps in the future the 2 girls will play volleyball. Certainly will be active in athletic, but who knows, maybe there'll be another generation of
Tienen
volleyball.
sangre americana.
And they have American and Peruvian blood.
Ooh, an opportunity to choose which team is better at the time. That's good. I noticed your parents are here with you at the Hall of Fame induction. If we ask them where your athletic talent came from, who would claim it, mom or dad?
Sí, estaba notando que tus padres están con nosotros acá, y si pregunta a ellos individualmente, ¿quién va a decir desde dónde viene su talento atlético?
Mis papás, los dos fueron deportistas. Mi mamá también jugó vóley en una de las primeras selecciones del Perú. Mi papá es campeón, pero en remo. Y todos mis hermanos, toda mi familia es deportista. Y para mí, la influencia de mis padres fue muy importante, porque también gracias a ellos, a la disciplina, a los valores que me dieron, no solo en el deporte, sino como persona, pude llegar a ser también una buena atleta.
She said both of my parents are very athletic. My mother was in one of the first selections of volleyball, national selection team for volleyball. My father was national champion in rowing. All of my brothers are very athletic on the national basketball team selection. So it comes through both families. So I guess the short answer to that question was they would both say it was from them. But basically the discipline and the values that were instilled from their upbringing are what have given me my success today.
You played 16 seasons in Italy and were offered an opportunity to play for the Italian national team. Tell us about the process and that decision not to compete for Italy.
Nosotros en el Perú somos como unas heroínas nacionales, y yo cuando me dijeron para jugar por la selección italiana nunca dudé en decir que no, porque no hubiera tenido la cara o los ojos para mirar a los peruanos que nos quieren tanto y que somos tan famosas, que no hubiera sido tan educado de parte mía jugar por otra selección. Aparte, mi corazón es peruano y no italiano.
Obviously it was an honor to be asked, but I never doubted for a moment to tell them no, because in Peru our status as a team and as a group is really heroines for Peru and a treasure for Peru, and I wouldn't be able to face my fellow countrymen to think of playing for another country. Though an honor, I never doubted for a moment that my heart is Peruvian, and that's who I would play for.
After your playing career, you became a congresswoman. Tell us about that transition, that decision to run for office, and how your athletic career perhaps prepared you.
Después de jugando tu carrera y jubilando, ya estás en Congreso, un miembro del Congreso de la República Peruana. ¿Cómo han preparado tu carrera y tus experiencias como jugador para el Congreso?
Es un cambio muy difícil. La política creo que es igual en todo el mundo. Pero yo en mi parte del Congreso me he dirigido más a lo que es la responsabilidad social o la parte de representación, no solo en la parte de hacer leyes, pero sí estoy en la Comisión de Deporte, de Educación, de Comercio Exterior y Turismo, porque no solo soy congresista, sino antes de ser congresista soy empresaria hotelera. Entonces, mi trabajo en el Congreso es más representación y más la parte social, ¿no? Ayudar a la gente que más necesita cosas que necesitan.
It's been a difficult transition from player to the political arena. I think politics are probably the same around the world and have their different set of difficulties. The focus of my involvement as a congresswoman is mainly in the social aspects to help people in need, and not so much in necessarily in writing and authoring laws, but more in making impacts on people and needs and facing responsibilities and promoting Peru. I'm on the Education Commission. I'm on the Commission for Sports. I'm also on the Tourism and Commercial Development Committee to push that, as I also have my own business there. I'm a hotel owner in Peru.
How does sport, in particular volleyball, fit with developing well-rounded children? How do you think it fits with the development of kids in Peru and perhaps worldwide?
¿Cómo ayuda el deporte en el desarrollo de niños, particularmente en Perú o en el mundo? ¿Cuál es el parte o el porción de desarrollo de un niño este deporte?
Yo creo que a partir de cuando estás en el nido es necesario el deporte, hacer deporte, no solo porque seguramente creces como una persona más sana, sino que también te forma con valores, ya sea un deporte en equipo, un deporte individual. Si haces un deporte tienes que tener una constancia, una disciplina, tienes que tener valores importantes para poder llegar a ser parte de un equipo, de un deporte, y es fundamental. Yo creo que más, eso es también una cosa que los estados o los países deberían hacer más, invertir más en deporte para invertir menos en salud.
From the time you're in preschool, obviously it's important to be physically active for your physical health, but sports, be them individual or especially team, help to develop the values and discipline in children that will serve them in later life. It's learn to sacrifice, learn to commit, and she believes that countries, states, government should invest more in sports, and there would be less problems with health and in education for the children.
With all the success you had in your career, the many medals and awards and trophies, where do you keep it all?
Con todo el éxito que tienes, ¿dónde se guarda todas tus copas, tus medallas, tus volúmenes de fotos y esto?
Mi medalla olímpica está guardada en un cajón.
Her Olympic medal is in a safe that she keeps guarded.
Pero mis copas, mis trofeos personales, el día que tenga, cuando mis hijas estén más grandes, sí las voy a poner en una vitrina, pero siempre las he guardado dentro de mi recuerdo, de mi vida, de mi corazón, pero no las tengo expuestas, porque no me gusta demostrar lo que yo he ganado o lo que he tenido, pero sí los tengo presentes todos los días de mi vida.
Apart from her medal, which is in the safe, she holds the rest of her recognitions and cups mainly in her heart. She says perhaps someday she'll make an area of display for all these, mainly for our two daughters, but for now, really these memories are more in her heart and in her mind than they are in viewing them.
I know I find my two sons running around with 2 or 3 of whatever the medals I have, running around the house, clanking them and smashing them. So it's safe as a good place for the Olympic medal.
No, pero está guardada porque para mí, no sé si las has hecho buena traducción, mi medalla de plata es un buen recuerdo y un mal recuerdo. Entonces, de repente, cuando esté vieja, me voy a sentir orgullosa de la medalla de plata. Pero ahora, no, todavía no.
She said, just to clarify, the silver medal for her is the consolation prize. They were there to win the gold. So maybe later, as she ages, this competitive fire will ebb a bit, and she'll want to display that. But for now, her focus was that they didn't complete the mission.
That I totally understand. Tell us about your reaction to being inducted into the Hall of Fame when you learned that you were in the 2010 class.
Pensé que era una broma, porque fue mi cuñado en Italia que me dijo que había entrado al Salón de la Fama. Y yo creo que es después de esto ya no puedo pedir más. O sea, después de ingresar al Salón de la Fama como deportista, como ex deportista, he llegado ya al máximo. Y personalmente me siento feliz porque mi país, el Perú, es nuevamente parte del Salón de la Fama, después de Cecilia Tait, ¿no?
At first, my brother-in-law was the first one to notify me of the election to the hall, and I thought he was pulling my leg. I had to verify and investigate on my own, and obviously, to my great surprise, I was elected. It's something I did not expect. It's obviously the pinnacle or the highest recognition someone can have. There's not more to ask for from that, and she's proud on another level to say that representing Peru, it's another recognition of that team and the Peruvian volleyball, because Cecilia Tait, her teammate, is also elected into the hall, and she's proud to be next to her.
Well, congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame. We appreciate you spending the time here on Volleyball in Perspective.
Muchas gracias, y quiero también agradecer a la organización, que sé que estos son personas voluntarias y que aman el vóley, y nos están haciendo estos días realmente de sueño, porque qué más para un atleta, aparte de una Olimpiada Mundial, es entrar al Salón de la Fama, ¿no?
Thank you so much, and she just wants to recognize all the help and comforts that the members of the Hall of Fame organization have made this weekend such a dream come true on this greatest recognition that she could ever hope to receive. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
I'm Kevin Barnett. This is Volleyball in Perspective 2010. Welcome to the 2010 Volleyball in Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin Barnett. One of the great things about coming to this event every year where a new class is inducted into the Hall of Fame is talking to old Hall of Famers and other inductees who are present for the ceremony. We're pleased to be joined today by one of those inductees, 1989 player inductee Mike O'Hara.
Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. 5 interviews in, I'm in good shape.
You look fresh.
Mike, tell us a little bit about how you started playing volleyball.
Well, first of all, if you looked in Webster's dictionary under late bloomer, you'd see my picture. I entered high school the 10th grade as the smallest guy in the class, 4'10", 98 pounds. In the next 17 months, I grew 16 inches. And
wow.
So all I did was stumble around and sleep a lot and buy new shoes and clothes. And so it was a blur. So I didn't play any high school ball. Got to college, was full grown, coordination came back, played basketball the first 2 years, went to UCLA as a junior, and joined a fraternity house that had a volleyball court in the backyard, Delta Tau Delta, and a little guy named Rolf Ingen, and he had played, he was a scholarship athlete for basketball for John Wooden, because he was John Wooden's same size and athletic ability, but he got shin splints, and so he was playing volleyball, and he said, Mike, John Wooden's not going to play you because he doesn't like anybody that doesn't have 4 years eligibility. And he said, come play volleyball with us. So I started playing fraternity volleyball. We won the championship of UCLA, played the champs from SC, Pepperdine, Loyola, won that, won a few other tournaments. And then we heard about a National Collegiate Championship back in Omaha, Nebraska, Boys Town. And so Rolf and I went to Wilbur Johns, the athletic director at UCLA, and said, we've won everything locally here. We'd like to see if we're really any good nationally. Would you let us represent UCLA if we pay our own way? And so he said, you know, that sounds like a fair offer. Gave us some old basketball jerseys. We borrowed one of our folks' big cars, and 6 of us got in there and drove back to Omaha. Came back with the same 6 guys, and on the top was a trophy that was on. We couldn't put it inside, it was so big. And we gave it to Wilbur Johns and said, you know, we won this thing. What do you think about having a regular varsity program next year? And he thought for a minute. He said, you know, I'm in the business of national championship teams. Next year you'll have a full-fledged team and we'll support you.
What year was that?
That was 1953 that we won, and then the next year was 54 and we won again. And then the coach that was coaching us was a guy by the name of Harry Wilson, who became the Olympic coach, and he took our UCLA kids as they graduated. He took the SC kids because the SC saw UCLA starting, so they started the team, national varsity team. And so all those young bloods were in there battling, so we had 2 good teams playing against one another all year, and we won like 9 out of 11 national championships from there on in. And so the Olympics came along, and we were lucky enough to get 5 of our players to play in the first Olympics in Tokyo, 1964.
Yeah, tell us about going to Tokyo in 1964, not only for the Olympics, but the experience of going to Japan.
First of all, it was, you know, as a late bloomer, I was so appreciative of getting into the Olympics, and especially since they were the only reason why Olympics adopted volleyball was that they were hosted by Japan. Japan had the best women's team in the world. They thought it would be kind of nice if they would have a chance for a gold medal. They not only won their gold medal for the women, but their men's team, which was the tallest team in the tournament, came in 3rd, so they got the bronze as well. Volleyball in Japan ever since has been rolling strong. Most of the finances that fuels volleyball around the world come out of Japan.
After that Olympic event in 1964, you switched over to the beach, an opportunity in Southern California to change your lifestyle a little bit, and tell us about the development of that game.
Well, it was a perfect alternative to beating your knees up, jumping, coming down indoors on the wood, go down to the beach, you strengthen your knees. It really wasn't 4 months there. You played the all-around game. You did everything, set, hit, block, and then you went indoors, and you were much better indoors. So that's why we always had good teams. The only thing we didn't have was the communist way of training. You became, if you had talent, you went into the Army, and all you did was play volleyball 6 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day, and so it was like UCLA playing the Lakers in basketball. You know, it was a little uphill, but had a great time. They loved me in Japan because O'Hara is a name that's Japanese as well as American and Irish. So O'Hara-san became a favored name, and I loved everything about it. It was a real happening for me.
When you went to the beach in the late 60s, what kind of opportunities were there professionally? Were there money-earning tournaments, or did you have to kind of barnstorm with it?
There were fewer tournaments, and there was great trophies and great parties. Every city would put on a fabulous Saturday night party. I had all kinds of fun, made no money at all my whole life in volleyball. But I used to play with Peter Lawford, who was part of the Rat Pack, and so he'd have parties. I'd get invited. The Kennedys were there, Marilyn Monroe, Angie Dickinson, so all kinds of things. I was invited to be a judge on the Miss Universe contest. And so I had a ball and didn't have to. I had a full-time job, and so it worked out really well for me.
What did you do for your full-time job?
I started out as a manufacturer's representative, representing Hughes Aircraft, Kaiser Aluminum, Wire and Cable, a bunch of lines in to sell in the Southern California area. It was a fabulous job. And then Art Linkletter invited me to join him and manage a lot of his corporations and ventures. So I got to clean up a lot of the losers because Art had a 1 hour, 5 day a week show for 22 years. So he loved to do deals, but he didn't have time to look after them. So I got the chance to do that along with his son Jack and a CPA. We started a new entity. So I learned a lot of things, and then I became the guy that looked at any new deal that anyone had for Art Linkletter. And so that was very informative because maybe 80 to 100 people a month would be wanting to have their product commercial made, get him on the board, and so on. And so I could pick winners from losers. So then the last 45 years I've had my own company, and I've helped start new leagues, the American Basketball Association, World Hockey Association, started Pro Track, put on track meets around the world. And so I just became an entrepreneur before that name was even designed. And I've been doing it ever since. So I only do things that are fun and that I have my heart into. So it's a joy to go to work.
Speaking of something you have your heart into, you have a new book out about the sport of volleyball. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's my third effort. My first two were on prostate cancer. And that one was a lot of fun because everywhere I went for other reasons, sporting reasons, I would call the Rotary Club, which I'm a member of, and say, hey, I'm in town, would you like a speaker? And so I'd get a chance to get people to go in and get tested. And my doctors who contributed chapters to my book figured out that after 5 years of these two books that I wrote, I updated it, saved somewhere around 400 lives. So when you look back on what you've done in your life, that's probably one of the things that I'll remember a lot. The volleyball the title is Volleyball, the fastest growing sport in the world. And I did research. First of all, I served on the board of the USVBA, or USA Volleyball now, 2 times, and I saw all the struggles they had and their numbers crunched, the problems, because they have about 40 different types of volleyball that they're now taking care of under their wing. And so I tried to write this as marketing punchline for how to get people interested in the sport, just like you would sell any sport. And so I've done it from how it started to how it unfolded, how beach volleyball came along, and how it's happening around the world and why it's happening around the world, even more than in this country, because we're behind a lot of other sports that were big long before we got big. So it's been a lot of fun, and of course in a meeting like this, there are a lot of people from different countries that have marketing challenges in their countries. So I'm looking forward to this. So far, everybody I've talked to has said, hey, load me up, send me some information. So it's been a great week for me.
You talked about reflecting on your life, and you're a man who's an Olympian, a Hall of Fame member, won lots of tournaments on the beach, lots of success, both athletically and business. Is there anything that you feel is left undone or you're disappointed with?
Biggest disappointment was I was in later life. I was doing sports commentating for ESPN and the 3 networks, and loving that. And then I got a gig doing the Spartakiad '79 over in Moscow. Loved that. Did water polo as well as volleyball, and was hired by NBC to be the commentator for the 80 games in Moscow. And I just was so happy. And then the boycott, President Carter did us in, and so I didn't get to go. And the only comeback was that I was hired by Ted Turner to do the Goodwill Games, the first Goodwill Games in '86. And so I got to go over there, and it was the closest thing to being an Olympic announcer. So that was the biggest disappointment.
You've seen 60 years of volleyball. Tell us about where you think the sport is going.
It's been helped a lot by the fact that the Olympics loves a sport that I brought to it, which was beach volleyball. I was the vice president of the LA Games, so for 4 years, 24/7, I was working that gig really hard, and I was in charge of all 27 sports. Had a blast going around the world. Hired the best people to be my commissioner in each sport. I'd take them to the World Championship, introduce them to the commissioner of that sport, and away we'd go. And then Peter Ubroth, who was my travel agent for all these leagues that we put together, he was the one that got my basketball players to games, and ice hockey, and track and field athletes. And he said, hey, we need to negotiate contracts with 152 countries around the world, and you're the only one that has any experience in that, which I did. And so I got to do that, which was really interesting, to deal with all those different countries, selling them the rights to the 84 Olympics. And it turned out they got their money's worth, because we put on a great games and wound up making some money for it. So the IOC loved us, because we were the only bidder for the 1984 games, and because of our success financially as well as athletically, now the major cities jumped back in and have been in ever since. So I was able to go to get the permission from Ruben Acosta, president of the FIVB, to try to get beach volleyball into the games. And so I hung up on him. He was in Japan, and I was in his office with his secretary, because I had sold him on beach volleyball. They were down. They didn't think anything of beach volleyball, because they thought that it was a bunch of guys, derelicts. And so I had to take Ruben Acosta down to Brazil and watch a tournament, a beach tournament. Blew him away. And so he said, all right, I want you to write the operations manual so that every country's going to have beach volleyball. So then I got his permission to go to try to do it, and hung up on him, called Juan Antonio Samranch, the president of the IOC, who loved me and loved us in '84, because we got him back on track. And I spent 40 minutes telling him, hey, what better way to sell the wonderful city of Barcelona, your home city, than to have beach volleyball right out there in front of everybody. And after 40 minutes, he said, I'm for you. Let's do it. Go see my friend such and such on the organizing committee, because the mayor of the city was fighting with him as to who was really the runner of those games. So he gave me his pals, and I went there and spent 10 days and got them excited about it. So we did it in a very small way. But then the next one was in Atlanta, and they had carte blanche, and that's turned on the whole world. That's because it's so televisable. Both games are terrific in that the camera lens fits perfectly on the size of the court. And in outdoors, you only have two on a side, so and they're not very bodaciously clothed. So you have a lot of identification with specific personalities. And so they get everybody buying tickets. It's one of the first events to sell out. So the combination of the tried and true indoor sport, along with the sex appeal and the young attraction of the beach game, has really lit up the world for volleyball.
Do you think that when you came out of the Olympic Games, you weren't going to make any money playing beach volleyball? You mentioned you've never really made any money playing volleyball in general. Do you think that was a blessing in disguise that allowed you to do some of the other things you talked about, becoming a manufacturer's rep, and all the relationships you developed and all the abilities you developed outside of the sport itself? I
would say so. Yeah, that's a good point. And I never dwell on that. But, I was married, so I had family things to do, and I was going to graduate school at USC for 7 years while I was working full-time and going to the beach or indoor, whichever season was on. And so it forced me to, but one thing I did is I cut down from 8 hours of sleep a night to 6, and I found out it didn't bother me a bit, so I had those extra 2 hours, and it made me become efficient and a businessman. So, at one time my little company had 95 employees, and I discovered I hated, all I did was pay and hire and fire. And so I went back to joint ventures and doing things in a different way, so I didn't have people on the payroll.
You were inducted in 1989 to the Hall of Fame here, and we're sitting today in 2010 here in the Hall of Fame. What about the changes you've seen in this particular venue?
Oh, this is fabulous here. It was when I came the first time, it was very modest, you know. But we were appreciative. We whatever was here was wonderful. I mean, the concept it resonates beautifully. I made the mistake of going down to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and the comparison was a little tough, and still is a little tough. But they really have a great heart here, and if the city is behind it. And the city is starting to come out of the recession. Some very exciting things happening here in town. So I think this is going to grow and continue to be something that they can be proud of, along with all the new things they have going on business-wise.
Well, Mike, I think the sport can be proud of your involvement. We appreciate the time here on Volleyball in Perspective. Look forward to many more years here at the Volleyball Hall of Fame with you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Volleyball in Perspective 2010. Hi, and welcome to the Volleyball Hall of Fame. I'm Kevin Barnett. This is Volleyball in Perspective. We're here to present the 2010 class to the Hall of Fame. I'm here with special VIP, Jizong Wei, President of the FIVB. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. President.
Only actual president.
Only acting president, yes. Actual. President until 2012, where there will be another election? Yes. So you've been president now for 2 years of the FIVB.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that job. What has surprised you most about that position?
Because this, I said during my election as president of FIVB, I said, I'm only a president of transition because I am in the same generation with the former president, Dr. Robert Acosta. We are in the same generation. Now for FIVB, we should pass the power to the new generation. So for this, I mean, I'm in a transition president of FIB. What I would do is to put a democratic system and mechanism in FIB in order to give all national federation freedom of expression.
You did take over for Dr. Acosta, the longtime president of FIVB,
Yeah.
and you have many times mentioned, just as you did now, the democratic process.
Yeah.
How successful have you been over the past 2 years implementing that?
Because I can tell you that in September we have a World Congress under my chairmanship. Nearly 95% of the dedicated president at this Congress, they were satisfied, saying this Congress is the first Congress ever in the FIV Congress that all the delegates can have free of expression.
The FIVB has been a huge force in the world of volleyball for a long time, and this Hall of Fame is dedicated not only to the United States development of volleyball here in the home in Holyoke, Massachusetts, but also the tremendous growth worldwide.
Yes.
What is your impression of this facility?
Because the first things, there's this Hall of Fame located in Holyoke, the native city of the creation of volleyball. This is historically significant because FIVB was formed in Paris, but the FIVB is different from the creation of volleyball. Without the creation of the volleyball, it would be impossible to have a FIVB.
What is the direction for volleyball under your tenure? You talk about the democratic process and the stuff behind the scenes, but what about on the floor and on the court?
Yes, for the volleyball, we have divided volleyball in two parts. The first part is elite volleyball, like USA got too much medals during the Beijing Olympic Games.
Too many medals.
Too many.
Oh,
too many. From other side, we have a volleyball for all. That means mass volleyball, especially the volleyball in school. The volleyball in school is the real future of volleyball, because now all the boys and girls go to school, and after that they will go to all the society, politics, economic, culture, business, everything. That means if we have a good base in school volleyball, that means the volleyball will have a bright future.
Talking about playing in school, what kind of player were you when you were younger?
In the beginning, we have interest of boys and girls to play volleyball, especially the girls, because in school, the girl didn't like basketball. Basketball is too much physical contact. They didn't like football. Football perhaps is too hard for them. So the volleyball is a good choice in school physical education. Now FIB have a big project to launch volleyball in school in cooperation with the ministries of education in different countries.
Talking about different countries, the United States, very successful in the sport. Brazil, hugely successful. Much of Europe. Where are the emerging markets for the sport? Where is it going to grow the most in the next 10 years?
Now we have Italy. We have Arab countries. Because for the Arab countries now, mainly we have men's sport. But we also started the volleyball for women, for girls. These initiatives have been highly welcomed by the women in all the Arab countries.
As it relates to people growing up and the stars of tomorrow, the kids you're talking about touching now, how important is it for the upcoming stars or the stars of today to know about the stars of tomorrow and some of the people being honored here at the Hall of Fame this week?
Because the star in volleyball, in comparison with other sports, is a little bit difficult. Not like the basketball, not like the football, because volleyball is mainly a team sport. They should work together. So in volleyball, we insist of the team spirit. The star work can be only appear in the teamwork. If not, one star cannot. It's not possible.
Do you think that's a concept that translates to business, to life, to things outside of volleyball?
Yes, because I say most of the volleyball and beach volleyball players, they are very intelligent young men. If not, it is impossible for them to become a star, to become an excellent volleyball players. That means in the future, after their retirement, they can go to every sphere of the society. Politics, we have, for example, we have some president, the Indonesian president, he was volleyball players. Czech president of republic, he was volleyball player. So in politics and in economic, in business, we have many big businessmen origin from the volleyball, and even in the sports administration, at least we have 10 presidents of Olympic Committee origin from volleyball.
China has a rich history of volleyball, both men's and women's, and of course hosted the 2008 games. Tell us about volleyball in China.
The volleyball in China China started with 9 against 9. When I was players, I started with 9 against 9, not 6 against 6.
Oh, really?
Yes, 9 against 9. But in China, the volleyball is popular mainly in women, not in men. In men is basketball and football. So in women, China, we have a relatively good standard. Like Lamping, she was a good player. She was a good player in China, and then they keep a good coach, and also a good coach for the United States women's team.
Yes, of course. Jenny Longping, Hall of Famer here.
Now he came back to China as a coach of club.
You mentioned the fact that it's a women's sport in China, and it's largely a women's sport in the United States at a youth level.
Yeah.
Many more women participating than men. What can be done to increase the participation for the men's side?
For the men's side, we have a competition with the basketball. Because the volleyball need tall players. The tall players first, their first choice is basketball, not volleyball. Now, in FIVB, we are thinking about another kind of competition, a limitation of the height. That for men, under 1.85 m. For women, under 1.75 m. So with this kind of new competition, we can encourage the short people to play volleyball. We have already a competition in Indonesia. It was a success for the developed countries. And we will continue the test of this kind of new competition in the world.
Tell us about what other things the FIVB has going, other initiatives leading to the 2012 Olympic Games in 2 years.
In the 2000 Olympic Games, first, we have introduced a new system of qualification for beach volleyball. Before, the beach volleyball Olympic qualification is 100% depend on the world ranking. The other countries have no chance. Now we took off eighth place of beach volleyball and given it to different continents. That means for the world ranking, only 16 place. 8th place according to a world qualification for beach volleyball. These will encourage nearly 70% of the national federation to participate in the Olympic qualification. As you know, if a country they start participating in Olympic qualification, it's easy for them to get support from the government.
You're the first FIVB president to come to the Volleyball Hall of Fame. Why did you make the decision to be here today?
Because if it's easy for me, I'm invited by you. For me, the whole of fame is a kind of heritage of volleyball and of FIVB. I have no reason not to come. I have 100 reasons to come.
Well, we appreciate your presence here, and thank you for spending the time here on Volleyball in Perspective, Mr. President. Volleyball in Perspectives here from the Volleyball Hall of Fame, live 2010.